Hey everybody, my name's Tim. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the live. If you are watching the replay, this was a live. My show's on Monday at 9 a.m. or shortly thereafter, Eastern Standard Time, after classes. So if you're catching the replay, welcome, and leave me a comment below if any of what we're going to talk about tonight has ever happened to you. So I'm excited to talk about some of these things because in the thousands of classes that I've taught, I've had a lot of nightmares. I've had a lot of things go wrong. And I've heard a lot of stories of people who have had unfortunate things go wrong when teaching online. There certainly is the risk of lots of different incidents, situations, and things that we want to try to avoid. So I thought I would have a little bit of fun this morning and bring you some possible nightmare situations that can go wrong when you are teaching online. So welcome everybody. If you're just joining, let us know where you're turning in from. Cindy says, oh no. Well, nothing happened to me, Cindy, but we're just going to talk about some potential nightmares in your online teaching experiences. So, hey Jess, good morning. Good to see you here. And Stacy's here from Florida. Awesome. Welcome, Stacy. And Millennial Money Moves, welcome to you. Jess is in New York. Yes, Jess, the photographer. Awesome. Hope things are going well, Jess. Welcome to the show. So yeah, this is a chance to chat in the chat box if you are here. And if you are just joining and you want to chat about online teaching nightmares, then feel free to share yours. We'll start off by asking, what is the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your online teaching career? What is the most anxiety-driving or nerve-producing thing that's happened to you since you've started online teaching? And so if you have a story, let us know in the chat box. Has anything horrible happened to you while you were teaching online? So yes, hey Mike from Cambodia, awesome. And Esther from South Carolina, great. Wow, 10 people here. Please check below and click the like button and share this with any of your online teacher friends that might be interested. I'm using StreamYard again. I was back to Ecamm Live and then I went back to StreamYard. I just find it a little bit easier. And I'm able to invite people on. So I had put into a few Facebook groups, if anybody has an online teaching nightmare story that they would like to share, you can come into StreamYard with a link that I can give you. So let me know if you would like to do that and share your online teaching nightmare with, with us today. So yeah, I thought I would share 5 online teaching nightmares and what you could do because oftentimes prevention is key. So hey, Michelle, welcome. So glad you're here. Yes, Southern Italy. Wow, that would be great to be there. Hope things are going well with the pandemic in Italy. I know you guys have been through a lot there. So as I said, I'm back to using StreamYard and had a little bit of a glitch because I'm using a new MacBook Pro that I bought a week ago, and my slides were not able to be shared because I had a security setting that wasn't working. So I'm going to try to do it now and hopefully it will work. So I think it will. Yes, it does. Okay, cool. So let me actually just try something here with my presenter view. So let's see if you can see that a little bit better. Yeah, you can see it pretty good. You see the tabs at the top, which is okay. Yeah, so let us know, have you had any online teaching nightmares before? Have you ever slept in? Jess says the alarm not going off is the worst. Yeah, for sure. I don't have to deal with that just because of where I live, but online, yeah, the alarm for me, I'm not the best morning person, so I'm always most afraid of the alarm not going off if I've got to teach in the morning. So morning, Fernando, welcome to the live. Thanks for being here. Great, several of you. So I thought what I would do is share 5 online teaching nightmares and some possible things that you can do to prevent these from happening, and also to what you can do while they're happening. So I know that a lot of folks that watch my videos are with a variety of companies. So if you're watching the replay of this, let me know in the comments what company you are working for. You just go down to the chat, the comment box, if you're not watching live, and what of these nightmares have you had before? Hopefully none of them. What does John say here? Awesome. What happens if your internet shuts off while teaching? Yeah, I'm going to talk about that, John, definitely. Esther says, I had to cancel 5 classes the first day of this month due to power outage. A snake got into our electrical equipment. Thankfully, VIP Kid gave me soft cancellations. Yeah, that's awesome. I got hired with Zebra English about 6 weeks ago, and I had to cancel my very first class because I had a double booking. So that's one of the nightmares that I'm going to talk about. But let's start with the technology failure nightmare. So I'm thinking of 3 possible situations here. I'm thinking of a temporary power outage that you did not foresee coming, or it was weather related, or possibly no internet. I've had one of those situations where my internet just decided to completely die. It's never happened before except this one time, and I had to cancel 2 classes. Or situation number 3, you have a laptop or computer malfunction. Something happens that your laptop or computer stops working. So, really a variety of things could happen. It could be for various reasons. Maybe your computer was, doing some updates or something like that. So things that you can do. Well, for a power outage, there's not a lot you can do. You're definitely going to be able to apply to most companies for a type of cancellation. So with companies like VIP Kid, you're able to apply for soft cancellations. With other companies, there's different tiers of cancellations that you could apply to. I would definitely screenshot everything, and I would make sure that you are getting as much evidence of the power outage that you can get. So, getting documentation from your power company and things like that. If you have no internet, so if your internet decides to completely go out and you don't have any internet at all, what happened to me was I immediately used the data on my phone to contact the firemen to let them know that I was having trouble. The data was not good enough to actually teach on, so it didn't work as a backup, but I would recommend having some kind of a data backup in case your Wi-Fi does not decide to stop working. Could be for whatever reason. So have a backup of some sort and make sure that you are able to, get into your plan B as quick as possible. So that's a technology failure nightmare. That's no internet and a temporary power outage. Have a backup, plan ahead. Think about these things, or try to think about these things before they actually happen. Laptop computer malfunction. It's really good to have some kind of a backup device. So the iPad works really well for VIP Kid. Not all companies allow you to use the iPad, but maybe they do. So if you work for another company, check to see if there's other devices that you can access the classroom on. If you're a teacher that uses Zoom or an application like that, you can use that on your tablet or your phone device. So have a backup of some kind. It would really, really help. So those are your technology failure nightmares. Are there any other technology failure nightmares that I am not thinking about? Yeah, Esther says, make sure to get an email from your power company for sure. Yeah. So awesome. Okay, let's carry on. We'll talk about the overslept nightmare. I love this picture. He doesn't look too upset about the situation. I know if I had woken up like that, which has never happened because of where I live, but it can happen to anybody. You oversleep, your alarm doesn't go off, maybe you book short notice classes, or you keep your schedule open overnight. You don't think that they booked because you didn't get a notification, and then you wake up and you're booked and you missed it. So either from oversleeping or just not checking. The best thing to do in this kind of a situation is to recognize that it's a mistake. We all make mistakes, and it's not going to end your online teaching career. You're going to want to do your best to let the company know what happened. There's going to be some kind of a penalty. And if you can, let your students know as well. Some companies allow that more direct communications, others do not. So, it just depends on the company that you're with. A company like GoGo Kid, you have zero communication with the parents. VIP Kid as well, zero communication, but some teachers are able to chat with them on, WeChat, which tends to be allowed or at least overlooked. So if you have contact with the parents, best to just let them know, and everyone is forgivable, so not to worry there. So that's the overslept nightmare. The double book nightmare. Oh no, you've got maybe a few companies in your back pocket and you double book yourself. Let me know in the chat which of you are working for more than one company. Let me know in the chat, and has a double booking nightmare ever happened to you, and what did you do about it? So for me, I double booked Zebra English and VIP Kid at the exact same time. What I did was I decided to keep what did I do with that one? With that one, I ended up actually deciding to keep the VIP Kid classes because they're paying me more, number one. And number two, I'm not really looking to use Zebra as a, more than very part-time position. And I was pretty confident that it wouldn't destroy me. I did think about carefully whether I should keep the Zebra English classes and cancel the VIP Kid, because I'm more established on the VIP Kid platform. And so, getting rebooked and those kinds of things wouldn't be an issue for me. But I ended up going with the VIP Kid classes and ended up getting Zebra English classes booked later on. So it wasn't a big deal. Jess says, I think I double booked myself for my own company and VIP Kid. Geez, yeah, that's tough. Not teaching, right? So, but it can be hard to, especially if you've got something scheduled or something booked or clients or business of some sort, it can be hard to get around that. So if you've got a double booking, weigh the pros and cons of what it means for you to cancel with one of the companies, because you're going to have to cancel regardless, one of them. So weigh the pros and cons, and also look at what the cost of the cancellation is going to be for each one. And if you're kind of confident with both of them that either one won't be a big deal, then go with the one that isn't going to charge you as much, or especially if you are kind of already had cancellations with a particular company, you may not want to rack up more with them. Esther says, yes, I work for VIP Kid and iTutor Group and double booked one on Friday. Yikes. Sorry to hear that. That's unfortunate. Thankfully, iTutor Group has a great cancellation policy, so I just canceled all those classes with them. Yeah, that's another great point. Some companies have great cancellation policies and can pretty much allow you the flexibility of canceling. So that's great that iTutor does that. Cool. So number 4, can anyone guess what the next nightmare is? The next nightmare is the worst student nightmare. So this is when you have a student. Oops, I don't have it on the screen. There we go. The worst student nightmare. So this is when you have a student who really is a nightmare. Maybe the student is behaviorally just so incredibly difficult. Maybe they're nonverbal and you've got to really ramp up your energy throughout the whole class. What about a student who refuses to cooperate? How do you handle the nightmare students when 25 minutes seems like 25 hours? So I'll tell you, in my over 3,000 classes, I've probably had less than 5 nightmare situations. And one of them in particular, I will never, ever, ever forget. And that was a situation with a little boy that sat in front of the camera with his mother next to him and was incredibly rude for the entire class. So I would say something, he would mimic me and copy me. I would say something else, again, he would copy me. In that situation, I just stopped talking and I waited for him. I would do things like cut my ear instead of speaking, and he would take his pen. This is, mind you, his mother was sitting there, and pretend to stab me through the camera with the pen while I just sat there and looked at him and waited for the mother to do something, but she didn't. So I called the fireman. And or you can call whatever support person that you have at your company. Most do when you're in a platform like that, and let them know what's going on. VIP Kid tried to call the mother, the phone never rang, and I just had to stick it out. Unfortunately, there was really nothing I could do. I had to stick it out. They weren't doing inappropriate behavior in the sense that I could just leave the classroom, but they were an absolute menace to work with. So yeah, I think we've all had those nightmare students. And what I say to people is it's 25 minutes in most cases. You can get through 25 minutes, even if it's the worst 25 minutes of your day. And you can choose at the end of it to forget it, let it go, do what you can in the feedback to let the parents know that it was a difficult class. And you can also let the learning partner or whatever company's learning partner you have, let them know that it was really challenging and that they should speak to the parent about maybe being with the child during the class or whatever the situation is. So yeah, Jess says, how do you prevent them from booking you again? Well, funny enough, Jess, this particular student booked me 2 more times. They were a little bit better the second time, and then the third time, it was kind of like the first class again, and I didn't give them any stars throughout the class, and I've never done that with a student. Didn't give them any stars. They never booked me again. I never got any bad feedback, so it was just one of those things. Hello, Danny. Morning. We are talking about the worst student nightmare. Have you ever had a worst student nightmare? Actually, Danny had this nightmare not that long ago. I watched her video on the double booked nightmare, and I was just sharing my story about double booking with Zebra English and VIP Kit at the same time. So anyway, those things happen, and we just do our very best to keep a smile on our face. And you can use your teacher voice and let them know that it's not appropriate. I will do things like put my hand up and say stop, or I will wait in silence and wait for them until it's very uncomfortable that they stop doing whatever it is that they're doing. Actually, I had a child today who was playing with something the whole class, and I ended up just stopping. And sometimes that silence speaks louder than words. When you're really quiet, people start to listen. So hopefully you came back to me and you're listening as well. So yeah, that was the fourth nightmare I wanted to talk about. The fifth one, sick in class nightmare. So I've heard about this. Has never happened to me, thank goodness. I have taught not feeling well, but I've never been sick in class. So have any of you been sick in class? I'm not hearing of many nightmare stories. So sounds like you guys are all pretty lucky and fortunate with your classes, and you don't have a lot of nightmare situations, but they can happen. I've seen teachers who have taught through classes really sick. And, I've even heard teachers that have had to, be sick on the side while teaching their student. I think that's really unfortunate that, some of these companies are so inflexible that we have to teach while feeling violently ill. I don't think anybody should have to teach. And I would say to anyone who is even questioning whether or not to teach when they're that sick to not even think about it. I understand that, we only get a certain amount of cancellations, but unless it's really worth putting yourself through that, I wouldn't bother being, sick during class. So Mike says, I had a ocular migraine and had trouble standing up at my standing desk 10 minutes into a lesson. Yeah, I've taught with, I've got a double herniated disc on my lower back, and I went through about 3 to 6 months last year in 2019 with a lot of difficulties. Both sitting and standing was difficult, and I just had to make do. Actually, I almost canceled one day because I could barely get out of bed, but as we do, and what I just told you not to do, I stuck it out and I tried my best to teach as much as I could, but it's worth, taking care of yourself over a $10 class. So Danny says, I've had screaming children in class, crying children, double bookings. Yeah, I think those of us that have been in the online ESL company world for long enough have all had lots of nightmare situations. But hopefully they haven't been as bad as some of these. And yeah, I thought it would just be kind of fun to chat about those potential situations that can come up and what to do about it. And to sort of summarize, it really comes down, I think, to just being as prepared as you can. How prepared can you be? Well, we can't be always fully prepared for every possible situation that happens. But the more tools you have in your toolkit for those students that are really difficult, the more resourceful you become. And sometimes it's just the case of having those first couple of difficult children that we learn quickly what works and what doesn't work in the classroom, in the online classroom, to redirect students and help with difficult behavior. For a lot of the things that I finished talking about, the technology nightmares, the oversleeping nightmares, it's always good to have a backup. So I think it's talked about all the time in all the groups, have a backup, create some kind of a system for yourself that if A goes wrong, I've got B. If B goes wrong, I've got C. So I have an iPad, so I know that if my laptop goes, I can jump onto the iPad and teach. I know that if my internet goes, I've got a data plan that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So I've got a plan there. And, I'm just hoping that I don't have to cancel a string of classes due to bad internet. It hasn't happened to me yet, but having a plan really, really helps. If you're teaching early in the morning, set multiple alarms, have them in different locations in your room so that you're forced to really get up if that's difficult for you. For power outages, there's not much you can do about that unless you do have a power backup, but know the systems that are in place to get those cancellations waived and do your best to get as much documentation as you can. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk about. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying. So Deborah says, an iPad is the best backup to your computer laptop because it comes right on and connects quickly. Don't buy it new, buy it reconditioned from Mac of all trades or Walmart online. Thanks, Deborah. That's a really great tip. Yep. And Cindy, if you're still here, Cindy runs the VIP Kid iPad group, and it's just a wonderful place. I'm not in it, but Cindy's wonderful, so I know it's a wonderful place to get iPad information and, lots of the tips and tricks and little ins and outs of the actual app and how to make it work best for you. So yeah, thanks for that, Deborah. Janie says, I love this topic. Good, glad you are here. Janie, have you had any nightmare stories in your classroom? And Melissa says, I had loud music playing in my ear that entire class this morning. Mom came to the computer 2 times and didn't turn it off. I just talked to myself for 25 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty tough. Danny says, I have a backup battery that keeps my internet running for 3 hours. Yeah, I actually was watching yours, Danny, the other day where you went to, you taught in the car and you taught that Zoom class in the rain. Man, I could just put myself in your shoes and feel your panic, but you did a really good job. So yeah, have a plan B. You need to have a plan B. You need to know, don't think that it can't happen to you, because it can. And if you think that it can't, it definitely will. So have a plan, have a backup of some sort that will, help you feel more at ease when you're teaching online. Janie says, I had to Zoom to a local McDonald's one day when the power went out. I was wide awake that morning. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I've heard of teachers teaching in McDonald's, but how do they handle like customers? And do you just sit there at one of their tables and teach? That must be really interesting for customers that are coming in and out. I've also heard that some places won't let you do that. So just curious. Yeah, Susie, glad he can't cough on you. Melissa says, I always use my iPad. My computer is the backup. Oh, cool. So little reverse there. Yeah, iPad's a great backup. You don't need to spend a lot of money on it. Cool. So Janie says, I was in the parking lot. Oh, okay, that's great. Very good to know that you can use Walmart, or I wonder if you can use Walmart. I know Walmart has that parking lot thing where you can roll up and sleep there and camp there for free. At least that used to be the case in the States. But I wonder if they also have free Wi-Fi as well. Danny says, what's funny is there's a meme about how bad McDonald's Wi-Fi is. It worked for me from the parking lot. That's funny. Yeah. I find that at least with VIP Kids platform, it doesn't take up a lot of bandwidth or processing on the computer. I find I can have pretty standard or substandard internet and things still seem to be pretty crystal clear. Your internet has to be pretty bad for it not to be working on the VIP Kid app. That's what I tend to find anyway. So yeah, very cool. So thanks everybody. I like to keep these short and sweet and try to have a topic. It's also fun just to chat with people who are here in the chat box. So if you are here, let me know before we go where you're tuning in from. and if you have any comments about these nightmares. Evelyn's got a nightmare. Cool, let's have a look. I taught 6 classes in a row. That sounds like a nightmare? No. I taught 6 classes in a row on Christmas morning, my first month with VIP Kid. My baby was crying and my 3-year-old was sick. The fireman canceled my class because of crying. Oh no. I can, I was going to say I can totally understand, but I can't. Oh, Evelyn, that's a shame. Yeah. Those are probably stories that are funny now, right? Because what can you do? I think, you know, if you do have young children, and I've heard teachers talk about what they do, you know, you could have the child on your lap slightly off camera, or you could have an area if they're old enough to play that's just next to you that would maybe take away from the tears if they are crying. So yeah, that's tough. I think you just do your best, right? If you've got no one else at home to help, you just do your best. So cool. Evelyn hit 1,000 subscribers. I didn't even know that. That's wonderful. So yay, Evelyn hit 1,000 subscribers. Make sure you go and check out her channel and give her the watch time so that she can get monetized. That's always the exciting part. When you hit 1K, it's like, can I get monetized? Can I get monetized? And then you finally get monetized and your first paycheck is like $3. But I promise you, it grows. It grows. Oh yeah, thanks for remembering. So my visa news is that basically the government has been extending our movement control order here in Malaysia for periods of time. And every time they extend it, the immigration has allowed tourists who are on expired tourist visas, which is what I live under here, because I don't have a work visa anymore or any other kind of residential permit. So they've always extended it, and it was supposed to end on August the 31st, which was today. But on Friday, they announced that they were extending it until December 31st. So it looks like as long as immigration provides that same grace period that they've always provided, it looks like I'll be able to stay until the end of 2020. So that's always good. Thanks for asking. All right, everybody. Well, it's so good to chat with everyone here, and I think I'll sign off now and let you get on with your day. But thank you for being here. And if you're watching the replay, hit subscribe, hit the like button, leave me a comment. Have you had any teacher nightmares, and what did you do about it? All right, everybody. See you next time, next Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. See you later.